welcome you to another edition of This Is Wrestling. Lee Versage, Zach McGibbon, Z Gibbon with us. How are you today, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, Lee. Feeling very, very good, actually. It was a busy weekend this past Sunday for me. I was able to do my first ever broadcast from an NHL arena yesterday. So that was something.
I'm actually really pumped up. I was going to start with that anyway. I remember my first time like actually broadcasting a game, not being in the rink, because you've been in the rink and we've all been in the rinks. But when you go up and you go into the broadcast booth and you are a part of that team that's going to broadcast a game from there, I'll never forget what it was like for me. What was it like for you yesterday?
Oh, man, it was just I was getting more of a tour of the facility and just getting my notes together. I was there pretty early just to kind of get that opportunity to look around the building. So I went up into the press box for the first time, and Smitty's press box in the Canadian Tire Center, and took a tour around there, and then went down over to the locker room areas and where all the facilities are, and had the nice little background for the Belleville Senators where they're doing their media afterwards. I also got a chance to chat with Julian McKenzie from The Athletic, and who was there to cover some of the prospects, and Callum Fraser recently joining Post Media as well. Caught up with him. And
what was Callum doing at like such a lowly event at an AHL game? I mean, for Callum, not for the rest of us.
No,
I just mean Callum probably lowering his own standards to go to a game like that on a Sunday. Good for him.
Yeah, and then he had to see me afterwards. I bumped into him in the first intermission. But no, it was great. No, he was doing good. It was one of those deals like, hey, we want you to go cover Halliday and cover Yakubchuk, right? And so he was there for that. And no, the broadcast went very well. Obviously, we wanted to make it big for 30th anniversary of the Canadian Tire Center, and we had somebody on the ground kind of doing intermission reports and breaks in between. So that was really cool. And yeah, it was just surreal being into that press box itself and kind of looking down at the ice, be like, all right, here we go. This is this is legit. Here we go. And fortunately, the B-Sens were also able to win their hockey game in a shootout. I know the last couple of games with the Ottawa Sens, it's not been looking good at extra time. But the B-Sens have been able to capitalize in extra time recently. So
yeah, I'm not sure if you've heard of that show. This is Overtime, but this is Overtime. Not a good place for the Ottawa Senators.
No, I come in and I was like, oh, it seems kind of odd that the mood is down. The Sens won their extra time, and then it's like, oh wait, no, we're talking about the Ottawa Senators.
Right, right.
I deal with that. So no, but it was great. I thank the team for bringing me out, and it was just a great experience. Had all the notes together, and David Foote does a tremendous job of broadcasting the game. He's a one-man show there in Belleville. It's unreal. So there was a lot of going up and down the building, trying to go see different places, chat with different people. But overall, it was an incredible experience, and one that I will remember for quite a while. Because one, obviously, first time broadcasted a game from an NHL arena, and for me, it was an arena that I went to a lot growing up.
Right.
And two, the game itself was a lot of fun going into the shootout. And Kaliev had a really nice shootout goal to win it for the Belleville Senators. And then just being in the building and chatting with folks, it was awesome. I was really happy that I was able to check that off the checklist.
One of the things, if you've ever sat way up in the 300 level at the CTC, you would understand. But, and I mean this without sarcasm, if you can believe that, Zach, a lot of the games that you would do aren't in, nearly the size of the arenas. And, you get a decent perspective from the broadcast booth wherever you are, whether you're in Belleville or other places. But man, up at the top of the CTC, isn't the game really easy? Like, you're wondering why certain players aren't doing things. You're like, oh, but there's lots of open ice, like right there. It's actually so high that you get an unbelievable perspective of the big picture of how plays are going to form. You can see things happen a second or two ahead.
Yep.
But as you know, the second you get down to ice level, you realize how little that space actually is, that you're looking from up top and go, oh, there's tons of space. Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And then you get down to the ice level and you're like, oh, okay. That space that looks like it's, 15, 16 feet is actually like 3 feet.
Yeah.
But what a perspective from up there, right? And to call games from up there, it actually makes it easier. Like, not that it wasn't, you get up in sort of that level and the players are better and the arena's awesome and you're in awe. But for me, it was always after the first few, you're like, it's actually easier because you're so high. As long as you know the players, and you usually do by their skating style, like you don't have to look at numbers all the time when you've done a team time after time after time. It becomes a little bit easier because you can just see the flow back and forth. The perspective from up there was different for you, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. It was like seeing it all in a perspective like that. It was like, wow, I could really see everything from the corners of the ice to the ice itself and how plays were developing. And it was funny you were mentioning too, in terms of, you're looking at it, it's like, oh, why can't they see this? In this case, I was looking at some stuff and there were some calls from the officials where it's like, why didn't they see that call? Like, it was pretty blatant on this occasion. Yeah, no, it was a great visual, and and in a weird way, because you're so high up at the 400s, and yet when you're looking at the ice, it feels level in a weird way.
Right.
Like you don't feel like you're that high up. Like, if you're somebody that has a fear of heights, and sometimes I'm not the greatest with heights, but in this case, I was like totally fine looking down and just seeing the play developing. I was like, all right, I can follow along with it.
And the difference is when you get used to being up there, like if you consistently call games from up there, if you sit up there, if you're in the press box, a media member, the real eye opener is actually going down and sitting at ice level while that's happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you realize, oh my God, like they're so fast, plays happen so quickly that, broadcasters are always the smartest in the 400 level. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. Get just kick back and be like, why aren't they doing this? Man, I should be a coach. I know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you wanted to be a coach, don't be one in the NFL, because there's at least a quarter of the league, even though one was hired the other day, there was 9. I think there's still 8.
Yep.
With Sean McDermott. I'm sure you'll talk about it over on, your other podcast with your other smart sports guy. And why would you want to, invite an NFL aficionado on to that show? Is it? It's probably because you don't want him to look bad. I'm guessing. Is that why? No, serious.
No.
Come on, Zach. Come on.
No, it's just. I don't know what you want me to say here, man. I just look. If you want to come on, you can come on. I'll put in the good word to Stefan Paulson on Blue Collar Sports. Just something I like to do. It's like it's weird because I do so much audio, and yet in this case, this audio is just relaxing for me. Just talk about sports. Right. I just talk about mainly football on that podcast, but every once in a while we'll delve into some other topics. But it's mainly football over there. And but if you want to come on, I know you'll come in like a house of fire, Ricky Morton style, like taking everybody out and then giving your takes. You'd be like, Stefan, what kind of take is that? And Zach, I know the takes you give. Like, I know how it's going to go, Lee. Like, I know how this goes.
Right. But I don't think Ricky Morton's the best example, because
fair enough, it is babyface style.
Right. I'm not as much of a babyface as Ricky Morton. Yeah. I can tell you that. That's your shtick. Just shave your beard off and come in with a little bit more fire, and you're pretty much that.
Yeah. So grow up my hair, make it blonde, and then I'll be a practical resemblance of Ricky Morton.
Yeah, I would be a little bit more. Oh, I'm trying to think of somebody that comes in with some fire. Maybe Hot Rod, Rowdy Piper at his.
Oh, there you go.
At his best, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great comp, actually. That's a great comp.
Like,
because he would come in and it's like, we're changing the questions, right? We're changing it up, and I'm putting the question to you. Like, I know how it's gonna go.
Exactly. Paulson. Like, where did Paulson ever come from? Let's get into you, Paulson.
It just turns into a wrestling promo, and that's
and he was a heel, but people still appreciated him, and then he never won the world title.
That's right. Yeah, because it was one of those classic, if Hogan's not gonna lose to me, I'm not gonna lose to Hogan. And it just leads to the tag match afterwards. So you know what? Good on him. It's like, you know what? He's not losing to me. I'm not losing either. And you figure it out.
now that you look back on it, you're like, yeah, crappy that they didn't put the world title on him, because he probably deserved it. And he would have needed that belt for a while. Like, he wouldn't have been a great 2 or 3 month transitional champion.
No.
Like, you need to stick that belt on him, like MJF, right? Had it for 400 and why is it 436 days? 400 and whatever.
Was it more than Punk's? Was it more than Punk's? I know Punk's is 434. So
maybe it was like 418. I don't know. It was whatever. It was over 400 days.
A long time.
Right? But that's what you need to do with a champion like that, right?
Right.
And if he was never going to get that opportunity with Hogan, which he was never going to, then screw it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it my way.
That's right. Like Frank Sinatra.
And I just saw the list, and maybe we can talk about the list. The top 15 wrestlers ever from Sports Illustrated, and there was Roddy Piper on the list. I believe he was number 13. Just pulling up the list now.
Yeah, I'm also pulling up this list.
It was quite a. I always know if it hits or not, because I'll have friends that don't really love wrestling, but they kind of love wrestling, and they'll message me about the list. Hey, what do you think? What do you think about this list? Well, I can tell you what I thought about it. Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin, number 1. The greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. I guess I should have said WWE before. Number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you agree with that?
I don't have too much disagreement on it. I mean, at his peak, it was a short peak, but the peak was so high, you have to acknowledge that he's one of the top wrestlers of all time. So I wouldn't disagree with that in terms of Stone Cold Steve Austin being at number 1. And on this list, how are they ranking it? Are they just looking at like overall impacts, or in the ring, whatever, just the best overall wrestler sort of deal?
Yeah, I think it's impact, right? Like, I'll have to get the official, but Sports Illustrated's top 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time.
Right.
It's always like, I think the discussion around these is never about who's actually number 1. But what you just brought up is, I mean, Steve Austin's run in the WWE wasn't nearly as long as most of the other people around him. But at his peak, was it the highest of anybody? Because if it was, then you're into that discussion on what matters more.
Yeah.
This one's hard for me because I have such a dislike of Hogan. But I still have a hard time believing that at Hogan's peak, he was less than Austin. And that pains me to say, Zach. But Hogan's peak was crazy. Like, I don't think people really understand what here. I'm just going to look. What do you think Hogan at number 2? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think he has to be in the conversation. We're talking greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. He's got to be at least a top 5. And yes, there is all the things that kind of came at Hogan at the end of his run. But if we're at the end of his life, I guess I should say the last 10, 15 years that you kind of look at with him. But if you're just looking strictly at his WWE run and what he was able to do from the 80s, as you mentioned, and then I know it wasn't WWE, but going on later in WCW and igniting another era there for WCW. I mean, you have to put Hogan in that conversation. Absolutely. Look, not the greatest wrestler in the world. He wasn't exactly, Fujiwara out there when it comes to delivering great wrestling matches. But, at the end of the day, he is still somebody that he's a cultural icon, really. Like, he is the one pro wrestler that was able to transcend into pop culture by being a pro wrestler. With The Rock, I know The Rock is on this list as well. The Rock was able to transcend into pop culture, but not because he was a wrestler. It was because of what he did in film, right? Like the movies kind of popped him into pop culture. The wrestling was kind of part of his story, but not the reason why he really broke into pop culture. Right. Hogan was the one that broke into pop culture because of pro wrestling. So I think he absolutely has to be on that list.
So what I would ask you is, what do you think the most watched, how many people watched the match that Stone Cold Steve Austin had the biggest viewership for? So the most watched Stone Cold Steve Austin match of all time.
I remember this. I think like the most viewed segment of the Attitude Era was that, I believe, was that Rock is This Is Your Life segment with Mick Foley. And then I think it was, I want to say it was at least.
Yeah, I am asking match, but.
Okay, match. Okay. I think it was an Undertaker match, because that would have been 98, and he was like primed in a feud with Undertaker throughout that year. So I'm going to say it's an Undertaker.
It was actually 1990. It was actually 1999.
Okay.
But you're right. It was when he won the belt against the Undertaker, and it drew an estimated 10.7 million.
There you go.
Right. So now I would ask you, for Hogan, what do you think that number is?
Oh, that I believe it was one of those. I don't think it was Saturday night's main event, but it was in that same realm of like the main event against Andre. And I believe that was, I'm going to say 23 million or something like that.
So for a guy that wasn't like alive, were you even alive? When were you born?
1997.
Okay. See, you should have watched that Undertaker Steve Austin match.
Yeah. When I was 2.
When you were 2.
I was 2 years old.
You were certainly not alive for the main event.
No.
And that was February 5th, 1988. I remember it very, very well. I was more than 2 when that happened.
Oh.
33 million viewers.
Wow.
26.6 million households watched it on NBC. 33 million people watched that match. And I only bring that up, and I'm not a Hogan guy.
Yep.
But when Hulk Hogan fought Andre the Giant and actually lost the title that night, and the twin referees and all of that stuff, I mean, you're just never going to see a number like that ever again.
No.
Like 33 million people. At the time, that was more than the entire country of Canada.
That's crazy.
Right? Like, imagine back in 1988 that every single person in Canada was watching. Every single solitary person, no matter who you were.
Yeah.
Watching.
Insane.
So, and again, the reason I bring that up is because at his peak, and again, what do you put into the word great? I don't know. But at his peak, nobody was ever higher. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena, Roman Reigns. Your top 5, followed by The Undertaker, your guy, Triple H, Shawn Michaels ahead of Bret Hart, and then Bruno Sammartino. So
that top 10.
Yeah, number 11, I always think, so just to give you the rest of the list, Macho Man Randy Savage, 11, Kurt Angle, 12, Roddy Piper, Edge, Randy Orton, Andre the Giant, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Mick Foley, and Becky Lynch comes in at number 20. Where I always think that these top 10 lists are fun. Like, who's 11?
Right.
And then, do you think 11 is ahead of any one of the people in front of him? So I'll ask you, Randy Savage, number 11. Should he be ahead of anybody that was in the top 10? Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Bruno Sammartino.
Well, for the bit, I will definitely say ahead of Triple H.
Yeah, okay. Not even for the bit.
He's got to be ahead of Triple H. He's not like,
does he?
Triple H is not a top 10 WWE wrestler.
Okay, and it does say greatest WWE wrestlers, but does the post wrestling career of Triple H matter to you in this case?
No. I'm looking specifically at his in-ring stuff and what he was able to do. I mean, Triple H wasn't even the top guy of his era. When he tried to be in 2002, it was called the Reign of Terror, and it was, keeping these guys down. It was not of the peaks of the Attitude Era, which is always going to be tough, but that era was all about rebuilding and trying to get the roster back before the eventual other stars like your John Cena's came in, your Brock Lesnar's that eventually took over and became the top guys and helped spurn business back for WWE. So no, I don't think Triple H is a top 10 WWE wrestler.
All right, I think that's fair. He would certainly be the one in the top 10 I would replace.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that everybody else shouldn't be in the top 10. So I think this list is pretty good. I don't love Becky Lynch being at 20.
No.
I think that's putting somebody into the women's spot for the sake of having a woman in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sure that Becky Lynch is even like, I'd put Charlotte Flair ahead of her personally. And I don't think Charlotte Flair should be a top 20 all-time wrestler.
Yeah.
So
there's only really one argument for Becky Lynch, and it's a similar argument for her in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, is that she had 1 year where she was the face of the company, like not just the women, like all of WWE.
For sure, she was. Yeah.
And historically in WWE, that's never happened before. And so if you want to talk about it from a historical significance perspective, that somebody like Becky Lynch would be the face of the company, the entirety of the company, I can listen to that argument. But in terms of overall body of career for Becky Lynch, I agree. I don't see a top 20.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? As the Austin argument for number 1. Yeah. That at his peak, he was very high. And for a year, Becky Lynch was very high.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with that, especially, was when Becky Lynch had the biggest match of her life in the main event of WrestleMania. It was not a good match.
No.
So I think at Austin's peak, he had some really good matches.
Yep. Especially with Rock.
Right. I mean, you remember the Bret Hart match vividly. A lot of people do. Yes. Right. So, I mean, at his peak, he was very, very good in the ring. And I've never felt that with Becky. She did have that run, as you said. She was the man. She was everything about the face of the company
Mhm.
and got the women into the main event at WrestleMania.
Yep.
But
And there's an argument too that it could have been longer, but the booking of that was just like the match itself wasn't good in of itself, but that year people wanted Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Like
Yep.
that was the match everybody wanted, but WWE was so assertive in getting Charlotte Flair into that main event because they wanted Charlotte Flair to also have the accolade of being in the first main event, women's main event at WrestleMania, that it just totally butchered what
yes.
people wanted.
So I would agree with that. But the counter to that, more than trying to force Charlotte in, to me, was that Charlotte was the best wrestler by far. And if you
Yep.
put Ronda in a spot where she might not be ready to go, could Becky Lynch alone carry her? And I
Yep.
think they decided that the answer was no. And I don't disagree with that sentiment. That, like, did people want Becky Lynch against Ronda Rousey? 100% they did. Would they have been happy if it turned into the train wreck that it possibly could have? Like, you want something until you actually get it, and then you see it and you're like, and that would have been the main event. So I at least understand putting Charlotte in to that match for that reason. If you had Becky Lynch against Ronda Rousey, it could have been an absolute disaster. And to do that in the main event of WrestleMania, well, the main event didn't turn out very good anyway, but
Yep.
still, I mean, so I understand the argument. I don't think that you need to include somebody in there because it feels like you're forcing that. Because I would believe that wrestlers 21 to 30 had a greater impact and were better.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep. No, I think that's fair. It's obviously easy to say now because we saw the match and what happened. So it's easy for me to come here and say, well, it ended up being a bad match anyways.
Mhm.
But I understand that argument of like, you want somebody that can kind of solidify things. I still think there's a way you could have booked it where you could have hidden some of Ronda Rousey's weaknesses and Becky's weaknesses to an extent too. Where, you know, one of the things I always joke about this show is like, if you want to hide a wrestler's in-ring ability, you just put them in a brawl. You just have them brawl each other, do your punches and your kicks. And
Yep.
I think in this case, in the rivalry of Becky and Ronda Rousey, I think you could have gotten away with that because one was a legit MMA fighter and Becky, you know, was talking a lot of trash. It's the kind of the two worlds colliding here, the pro wrestling world and the MMA world, where I think you could have gone away with that. But again, it's, you know, we're arguing about something like 7 years ago now at this point, like even before the pandemic, but still like it is something that I do ponder, like if her run could have been longer. But even then, I mean, we've both said on the show that I think a lot of people are higher on Becky Lynch than we are, especially in ring. I
Yeah.
think she's had the one really good match with Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné back in NXT. I think that's kind of carried her a little bit to people thinking that she's a really good wrestler and part of that for horsewomen. But I think she's easily the weakest in-ring wrestler. But what carries her has always been her personality and her ability to cut promos. So, yeah, I agree with you on in the case of this list, the top 20, which by the way, I'm looking through. I was like, hi, I didn't hear about this top 20 Sports Illustrated. I guess it's kind of resurfaced in the last little bit because it's from 2024, this 20 greatest wrestlers list. But I guess a lot of people started to resurface it again for this top 20.
Well, when I hear about it from friends upon friends, like, oh, this list, and it's like, they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. It's like, okay, I got to respond to it, I guess.
Yeah, because I had also heard it from other people. It's like, oh, did you read this list? And I was like, I didn't even know. I was already done, you know, looking over the Sports Illustrated Awards and, you know, wondering why I picked FDR as my tag team of the year after that final pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't remember this top 20 list unless they had updated it. So I guess it's just recirculating now, but it's an interesting conversation to look back on. Can I say though, with Roman Reigns at 5, I think that's high.
Do you?
Even in 2024, I think his impact's a little overstated in terms of like, is he really in the realm of the Steve Austins, the John Cenas, and the Rocks? And like, in terms of like, WWE tells you for sure and pushes it that way, but is he? Like, I think he is like, if you were to make the argument of more of the Bret Hart level with him, I would be willing to hear it more, like a Brett Shawn sort of deal. Because in my mind, I'd always argue that I always thought that Cody was the bigger star at his peak than Roman was.
But Roman has had tenure. Roman has had,
Yep.
you know, again, just because the WWE puts people there doesn't mean that they deserve to be there. So I understand what you're saying. He was there for a very long time, and we all got sick of kind of the same ending. He was never going to get beat.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. What helps Roman in this regard, though, is what happened after he lost it and went away.
Yep.
The product didn't get significantly better. In fact, probably died out a little bit. And that's not the fault of Cody, who is still a very, very big star. But when Roman finally decided to let somebody else take it, I don't know if it was as interesting. It's there. I understand what you're saying. There's that real line, because there was a time when Roman had it that it was like, this is just ridiculous. He's going to fight Kevin Owens again, and then the bloodline's going to come out and screw Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And we all know it's going to happen, and he's not going to lose the title. And that's it. Like it just continued on and on and on with whoever the next person was, whether it was Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn or, you know, Drew McIntyre. It didn't matter. It was just, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna bring out another Samoan, and we're gonna insert somebody else into the bloodline, and we're gonna keep our. So people will look back on the bloodline and go, oh, incredible tenure that they had, great length that they had, and they stayed on top. Was it boring at times? Yes. But when they stopped doing it, did the product get significantly better? No. So that's, you know, maybe a Triple H fault or somebody else's fault, but that's an interesting argument to me too, that we could, you know, have a whole show on that, because but he's been around a long time. He's been in, I think what gets him, and I don't have the stats offhand, but wasn't he in like 9 of 10 main events at WrestleMania?
Yeah, something like that, like the last couple of years. So
yeah, but like last couple of years, 9 of 10.
Yeah,
like it was not 2 in the last 3. It was like 9 of the last 10 main events featured Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a decade.
Yeah.
So
I think like 8 of them involved Brock Lesnar, if I recall. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
Boy, did they force that feud down our throats.
But the point is made that even if they put him in that position and he didn't deserve it, I mean, the guy went a decade with being in main events for every big show they had. Like,
yep.
And that's a long, long run.
Yeah. The reason why I push back on it is just from a numbers standpoint, before the John Cena retirement, I would argue during the peak of the Bloodline story too, Madison Square Garden, I think we could both agree, is like WWE's legacy home. Like you associate WWE with Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And they always have these massive house shows for WWE at Madison Square Garden. They always pack that building. They always put in like at least 10,000 people, right? And I always look back on it, and it was always an indicator for me that maybe he isn't as popular as I think people think he is. When he was announced for the card and you looked at the way the tickets were moving, ticket movement was very minimal. There was moving, but it was very minimal than what you would usually see from like, oh, this guy is appearing. We've announced this guy is appearing. But then that same year, 2023, John Cena was announced as making a special appearance at Madison Square Garden. He moved tickets. Like I'm talking 2,000, 3,000 tickets a day, like was being moved and just shelling it out. And I'm like, man, if we're going to put Roman Reigns in the pantheon of these guys of a John Cena, of a, you know, Rock, Austin, like these were the guys that were the standard bearers of the era. Like I look at those ticket sales for a legacy promotion, a legacy building, sorry, for WWE, and it was very minimal. And I know people will say, well, that's just kind of one statistic, but I've seen it a lot of times where you put Roman Reigns' name on the marquee and there's really not that much of an increase. Now, could it change in the next 10 to 15 years or whatever? Like I know Roman's 40 now, but the way that wrestlers go, they go much longer.
He's got another 10, 15 years.
Yeah, he's got
left.
a 10, 15 year career waiting for him. But this is what happened with Sting back in the 90s. Like if you were to tell people today that Sting wasn't as big of a star as you would think he was, I think people would look at you like you're crazy. But when you look back to Sting back in the 90s, he really wasn't moving that many tickets, and WCW wasn't doing that great.
No.
But as the passage of time kind of went on and you have new eras of fans come through and they're being told, oh, Sting was this massive star. He represented company. Like you looked at Sting's retirement match in North Carolina, Greensboro, and he sold that building out because it was Sting and it was his final match. And he put those 19,000 people in the building. So I'm not saying Roman Reigns doesn't have that potential to get there. And then maybe, 10, 15 years down the line, we look back and say, okay, maybe he was a bigger star than initially thought. But right now, I just can't say he really is.
That's a really good comp from Roman Reigns' perspective is Sting.
Yeah.
Because when Sting was on top, they basically had to get the title off of him so he could chase.
Yep.
Because he was a much bigger star chasing, especially Ric Flair.
Yep.
Right. And I remember, like, to that point, I just watched a match because I went over the whole Black Scorpion angle a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, boy.
Right? And it was such a terrible angle that people were saying that was the result of Sting's lack of rise because he was stuck in this crap. And it was laughable. Like it was laughable, some of the things that they did. But when Sting was on top and had won the world title, they had to take it off of him, and it was at Sting's request. And Sting lost the belt to Ric Flair on a house show. So he could just, oh my God, like Flair beat Sting at a house show. I believe it was at the Meadowlands. And the reason because Sting was like, this isn't doing me any good. Like I need a better chase. I need to get back up and get that popularity going again. And that's why it always rang true with me and learning, because it was a catchphrase with Ric Flair before anything. But the whole to be the man and to stay the man is two different things. And that's true. Like, and especially for baby faces, when they get to the top, like, what are you doing to stay at the top? Other than Hogan just pushing everyone down all the time.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But
in a reasonable way.
Yeah, but Sting didn't draw tickets.
No.
As a world champion. He didn't draw people to the arena. Especially early in the day. So yeah, I do understand. I think Reigns has got some time. But he also was in an era where a lot of people, like, I don't know. I hate to do this to you because I know we got to move on, but we all know by watching Bret Hart matches and Shawn Michaels matches how great they were.
Yep.
Like at their peak, they were incredible wrestlers. But when Bret was on top, did he really draw people?
Not compared to Hogan.
No, not even close.
No.
Right? Like not even close.
Yeah.
And Shawn was on top and then he wasn't, and then he lost his smile and he got beat up and came back. Like we all know he was a great wrestler, but again, when he was on top, did people pay to go see him all the time? I'm not sure they did. In fact, that wrestling was in a bad cycle all the way around from that 94, 95 era was, if not for ECW, I don't know what I would have done, but
Yeah. Yeah. Just you looking back at that time, it's amazing how ECW kind of filled the void for so many wrestling fans.
oh, like I'm telling you, that was the only thing that mattered because the other two were so bad. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until the NWO and then the Attitude Era, and then everything kind of changed from middle of 96, like through the end of the decade. But before that, I mean, Shawn and Brett were on top and they weren't drawing any money. So I know they're great wrestlers. You know they're great wrestlers. Are they better wrestlers than Roman Reigns? Like,
oh yeah,
in their sleep.
Absolutely.
But they also didn't draw money when they were on top, and they weren't on top for as long as Roman was. So I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked a lot of history. Let's talk the present. A debut. TNA on AMC. Let's go. New network, new product. Zach, you watched the whole show from beginning to end.
I did.
Yeah, I watched some of it as well. What were your initial thoughts on the TNA debut on AMC?
Well, it's funny when you mention we moved from historical to the present.
Right.
Because I think this was a historically bad show from TNA.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Wow. That I probably have seen some of the reaction online to the debut of TNA on AMC. There's a lot to talk about with this show, and how, I mean, I came away with it, and I couldn't believe what I watched, but not in a good way. I couldn't believe that was the best foot forward from TNA.
The main event was Mike Santana and Frankie Kazarian for the TNA World title. They had some undercard matches. Where do you want to start?
I guess we could start right from the beginning with the AJ Styles promo, because we on the last show were talking about AJ Styles is announced for this. What's he gonna do? Is this gonna be, maybe this is where he announces he's gonna have a match in TNA, and like, what a way to kind of set a tone, right? Like, all right, that would be interesting. And you got a legend from the past, right? Because God forbid you want to promote this current roster at TNA, let me tell you, like the way that it's looking, other than Mike Santana. And really that's it of all the wrestlers that I kind of want to see in TNA. I'm sorry, Frankie Kazarian, but like, I don't want to see in the world title picture. So awesome of them to have AJ Styles, somebody from the past who's not a regular, as your main attraction for your debut on a new network. But the opening promo, Lee, he came out. First of all, the Titantron got stuck on him, and the crowd was chanting TNA and AMC and whatnot, and the Titantron showed up, but there was no music. And I was waiting, and we were all waiting, and then finally the music hit. It was the old TNA music, and I was like, all right, not a great start production-wise, but we'll move on. Just early show jitters. I will, throw it to that. And then AJ came out and is like, do you like TNA? Yeah, we love TNA. I'm so glad to see it debut on new network. Let's get a chant going. TNA, TNA, TNA. All right, good to see everybody. Let's get the wrestling going. It was like, what? What are you talking about? That's it? It was just a raw promo to start things off. Like, this is not a good sign. If he's just going out there going rah. Do you remember back in early 2010s when Christian Cage randomly showed up on that TNA pay-per-view because they did the trade with Ric Flair for the Hall of Fame? At TNA, they could have done anything. They could have requested anything in the trade for Ric Flair. They could have gotten Christian Cage to do a match, and they decided, we'll just have him do a promo on the pay-per-view. And so you have Christian Cage come out. He's like, it's great to be back. Good to see everybody. I honestly don't know why I'm here. Good to see everybody. And then he just walked off, and it's like, that's how you brought back Christian Cage into the promotion? This is what it felt like watching the AJ Styles promo. It was just like, we love TNA, right? Yeah, TNA, TNA, TNA. Let's chant for the network. AMC, AMC, AMC. You know,
So
like,
what should they have done?
well, if it was just going to be some sort of segment with somebody on the roster, or what they did later with the Frankie Kazarian stare down, like maybe you do at least a tease of that where Frankie Kazarian comes out. It's like, no, you're from the past. I run this show here at TNA now. I stayed at TNA. You left. And then you do the stare down of AJ, like looking at the belt and whatnot. And you do that tease right from the opening bell. But they didn't do that. They just hit it in a backstage segment, which was poorly produced. Felt like the audio was underwater. And I was just like, they just kept it there. It's like, looked at it and then looked at Frankie and then walked off. It was like, oh, we're just going to do this backstage in front of the hot crowd to start off the show.
Right.
So that's what I would have done.
Which I don't understand quite AJ Styles looking at Frankie Kazarian's title when they knew that Frankie Kazarian probably wasn't going to win.
Yeah, that too. Like they teased a match that was not going to happen anyway.
Right. So I didn't understand that part of it, because it's like, if you're going to tease an AJ Styles Frankie Kazarian match, okay. Like, I don't love it, but okay. Yeah. But you can't be looking at the title like that's the reason why you're going to fight, because in about an hour and a half, he's going to lose it.
Yes. You know what they could have done, Lee? I'm thinking of like 6 different ideas that TNA didn't work. So what they could have done is AJ helping Mike Santana to win, or something at the end where he lifts his hand up and like acknowledges like, I'm the past and this is the current generation. This is the guy that's going to lead us forward. So you have at least some sort of acknowledgement from AJ Styles, but they didn't do that. It's like, and like what you said, they just teased a match that they're not going to do for the title. It's just like,
right. And I don't want to jump ahead, but I do want to try to understand, because we've just told people that like Mike Santana did win the TNA championship over Frankie Kazarian. The end of the match was an absolute train wreck.
Unbelievable.
It was. So I want to talk about some things after the end of the match with these two, but let's talk about the match. I just don't understand how they could look. I get it. Mistakes happen in all live events and sports and that kind of thing, but I don't get what they were trying to go for. What happened at the end? First with the referee counting 3.
Yes.
And then saying it was only 2. How does that happen in that match?
You tell me, Lee. I watched that live. His hand hit the mat for 3, and everybody heard it in the crowd. We all heard it. We all saw it, and
it was clear that it happened.
Yeah. And they put him for 2, and it wasn't like it was Frankie Kazarian that had the pin. It was Mike Santana that got the victory. But I guess it was too short. They had to fill out the TV time that was remaining. So I guess the match had to continue, Lee. And so they just overthought the finish.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, and Mike Santana is going to win anyway, and he just won, and figure it out at the end.
Yeah.
Like, figure out the time and celebrate.
Yep.
It just seems so clunky.
Yeah. And it totally popped the balloon of the atmosphere in the building, because one of the positives of that debut is that the crowd was really hot coming into the show. They were into stuff, and the match especially, they were really into it.
Yeah.
But they just, again, they overthought the finish, and then the clunkiness happened. So when you have a combination of overthinking something and then not executing very well, the crowd gets lost and confused of what's going on, and then it gets quiet. It's like, so you're supposed to have this big title win for Mike Santana, which we saw already a few months ago after they had already missed the peak of Mike Santana winning the title months before that. So we're going to have to replay the story again so that we could have something on the debut episode for AMC. Just totally put a pin into the bubble of the atmosphere of the crowd. Like, after Santana won, this was not like an earth shattering pop either, because the crowd was like, oh, this is how they did it. Right. It's just,
and so let me ask you, Because I understand that there are things that we might not get. Like, did the AMC thing come up so quickly that they almost had to redo the same storyline? Because I don't understand why, if this was the plan all along, did they miss the peak of Mike Santana? Yes, but why would you have put the title on Mike Santana a couple of months ago, have him lose so quickly, and then do this again for the debut? Why? Like, if they missed the peak in July, why wouldn't they have just waited this entire time to finally have Mike Santana win? Because it felt like doing it a second time didn't feel the same at all as Mike Santana bringing his daughter into the ring and finally climbing that mountain that he's been trying to climb forever. I get that they missed the peak, but they've already missed it. So do you think the AMC thing just came up in between all of this and they thought that they better kind of redo the storyline?
I have to think so. Like, that's the only thing I could come up with in my head. Because let me tell you right now, I am going to call out the bookers of this promotion. Tommy Dreamer, who I have met personally in Belleville, Ontario, Canada, who books this promotion, and Hunter Johnson, aka Delirious, who also has a hand in creative in this. I don't know why they still have booking jobs at the end of this. If I was running this company in TNA and I saw the show that was put together at the end, especially with that main event and the finish, those guys are not leaving that building still employed by Anthem. The way that they put this together, it just comes across like they're so creatively bankrupt of ideas. And they just gave up. And this is the debut on a new network.
Yeah.
If there was ever a time to have new ideas, something different, like now is the time. But they did the same tired tropes we've seen in the last 20 years of American professional wrestling on TV. And the main event, you know, it just completely collapsed in terms of how that was put together. I just, if it really is true that the AMC stuff came together and they just went back to the old plan, then they really are just creatively bankrupt and they're of no use on the creative team.
I don't know any other explanation, because let's just say they knew about the AMC thing for a while. It's hard to believe that anybody would have booked it this way. That Santana would have won the title, cried, daughter in the ring, the whole thing, and then loses it very unexpectedly and think that that's better and he's going to get him back again and we'll do it on the debut of AMC and we'll get the title back. But it's already, you only get one shot at that. And they had it.
Yeah.
I don't think they did it as well as they could have, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Like,
they missed
as
their
you
peak,
said,
but they tried to recapture it a little bit.
You're right. They missed the peak, but they still got some out of it.
Yep.
And in the last few months, so, and where the conversation then takes off, because I don't know, I mean, maybe you should talk a little bit about it. I don't understand the Iconics. They're on their way out, so then they do the job, and that was just a horrible match.
Oh my God. Lee, I gotta talk about this. Oh my Lord. So not only the match itself, by the way, it's not the Iconics, it's now the Inspiration, because there's two I's, so I have to pronounce it like that. So the Inspiration.
But everybody knows them as the Iconics, right?
Correct.
Billy Kay and
the other one.
Yeah, what's her name? Sean Spears' wife.
That's right.
Well, I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
Inspirationally.
Peyton Royce?
Peyton Royce. There you go. Peyton Royce. So, first of all, the segment before that, like, there were only 3 professional wrestling matches on this show. 3. One of them was over 10 minutes, and that was the main event. Right. They had a total of 30 minutes of pro wrestling on the pro wrestling show. Right. Why are we still doing this, Lee, in 2026? So
moments viral. Instagram.
It's engagements, reels, TikTok, the whole shebang. So they cut, and there was supposed to be a Leon Slater match on this, but they had visa issues. And I'm like, you knew this was coming for months and you're having visa issues? But
they didn't have visa issues, right?
Well, I think it's a little bit BS. I think some of them are visa issues.
What do you mean? Leon Slater went and was on the WWE show challenging Carmelo Hayes.
Well, they were in the United Kingdom for that. So, and he lives in the United Kingdom.
The next night.
Yes. If only
Zach, he skipped the show to be on the WWE show. That wasn't visa issues. He skipped the show.
WWE needed him more. I don't know what to tell you. He's
right.
What a great partner they are.
And so when I say he skipped it, he didn't.
It's WWE that came in and said we want to use Leon Slater as a surprise for SmackDown.
And so I want you to talk about this show because I do then after this want to talk about this partnership.
Yes.
That the WWE has with TNA.
Yes, but I got a little off track because I needed to talk about this Elegance brand thing that I had to witness live on my television set. And it was one of those moments where I was saying to myself, what happened to this business that I love as I was watching this a lot? And so the Elegance brand, Lee, they come out and so I had learned on social media, so they were about to debut Mr. Elegance.
Yeah.
And they had him covered up in like this little towel or whatever. And he's doing these Val Venus style gyrations as he's waiting to get unveiled. So apparently, Lee, he had been doing that in front of the live crowd for 5 minutes during the commercial break, which, by the way, so many damn commercials on this. They went to commercial at the start of professional wrestling matches. It's like, look, I know you got some times to fill. I know you got some ads to air. But you have to have produced television long enough to at least have the commercials go in the middle of the match, not the start of the match.
Right.
But anyways, so they're waiting in the ring and Mr. Elegance is doing these gyrations, these Val Venus style gyrations in the ring while he's waiting to get debuted. In the year of our Lord 2026, Perez Hilton is in the ring and he's outside. And honestly, Lee, he was probably the best performer out of everybody in the ring. I'm sitting there, it's like, wow, I hadn't heard of Perez Hilton since like 2014.
Right.
And he's out there, he's got his pink hair. You can tell he's having fun out there. I'm glad somebody's having fun on this because I wasn't. And so they're like, oh, we're here to debut Mr. Elegance. He's the one that's going to take this brand forward, blah, blah, blah. And they unveil Mr. Elegance. And Lee, you know I call matches on the independents.
Yep.
I know quite a few wrestlers out there. I've chatted with a few wrestlers. I like to think I'm pretty in touch with the current scene.
Yep.
Lee, I don't know who this guy is. Who is this guy? He looked in great shape, but I had no idea who this guy was. They were just like, he is Mr. Elegance. Okay. And then they tried to play off this idea that apparently they found this random guy in the back who was like fat and out of shape. And in a week,
right,
they turned him into this Greek Adonis. Yep. And Mr. Elegance is cutting this promo, and it is quiet. And I'm like, this is awful. This is awful. This is one of the worst television segments I think I've ever seen. I'm not even downplaying. I'm not even trying to like. This is one of the worst things I've seen on a wrestling TV show because it was quiet. It looked so low rent. It looked awful. I made me embarrassed that I was watching what I was seeing on the screen. And he's trying to cut this promo, and I could care less about what he's saying. I could care less about the Elegance brand. Finally, the inspiration come out, and they go out there and they have like
the
inspiration, and they do their little pose and whatever. Then when they went out and had their match, which was awful. It was an awful match. Like those two are entertaining characters, but then the bell rings, Lee, and you know. They're not exactly the jumping bomb angels.
And they keep they keep saying that they have lots of deals out there.
Yes.
That they're going to take. And I'm just praying to God they're not going to go to AEW. Because
well, here's the thing, Lee. You know who sings their theme song in TNA?
Who's that?
Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron sings their
Oh,
TNA theme song.
no.
And you know what they're known for in WWE? Their segments with Renee Young. So get fired up. The women's tag team belts are going to go to the inspiration when they join AEW. Oh, just get fired up. Tony, I'm begging you. If you're listening, somebody get this clip to him. Tony, don't even think about it. Don't even ponder. Don't be like, I need some depth in the women's tag. No, Tony, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I don't care what Renee says. I don't care what Harley Cameron says. I don't care if they're very well liked. I don't care what Sean Spears says. I don't care what they say. Tony, don't do it. Have some impulse control and let it go. They'll be just fine. Let them go to the WWE. Let them, be the undercard on SmackDown and just leave them alone. Okay. They'll be just fine. I don't need them on my screen.
I was trying to be quiet there and let you go, but it just feels like they would be so much better in WWE because they're moments wrestlers. They're not
moments
wrestlers, right?
I do like when Billie Kay says, "You got to be joking me," and like when she goes out there, it's like, "You got to be joking me." Like that's funny, but like that's it, really. Like I get a kick out of that. So Tony, don't do it. You want me to talk about the new GM that came out there as well? Santino Marella was all over this show. And
so Santino Marella was out, the new GM who then hired somebody else.
Yeah. Who then turns heel on Santino. And it's just like, first of all, we're doing the GM trope in 2026 again. Do these people have any? This was a show, Lee, when I was watching. I've watched even WWE pay-per-views, PLEs, whatever you want to call them, specialty events.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch them as like, I wouldn't have done that, but I'd like to think when I'm watching, is like, they know what they're doing, whatever. Like these guys, they've worked their way into creative, even Triple H to an extent where like I like to think understand the thought process into decisions. I was watching this TNA show and I'm like, I'm not saying that I would make a great show, but I can make a much better show than what they put on the television screen this past Thursday night. I could book something so much better. Number one, we're not doing the GM angle in 2026 where we're already having a power struggle. Like just as you introduce the new authority figure, because God knows in wrestling, we need another authority figure that has to be central to the story. So they have Santino out there saying, oh, we need to make sure we need to run a tight ship in TNA, which I firmly agree with, but for different reasons. So we need to go out there and have somebody run a tight ship. So I made this hire. And so they bring in the former Sonya Deville, who's now Daria Ray in TNA. They could have done so many things with Daria Ray. They could have had her go back to the MMA fighter gimmick and have her do something different, right? And go back to that background and have something different. But nope, because these people are creatively bankrupt, we're just going to go back to her old WWE gimmick when she was a general manager, and we're just going to do that here on TNA. Mm-hmm. And then while she's out there, she turns heel on Santino, who hired her. So just making him look even more incompetent. And now we're going to have a power struggle in TNA. Come on, guys. I don't care about the power struggle between Santino and Sonya Deville. Who could possibly care about
Santino just had his daughter turn on him.
Yeah.
No, Daria
Ray.
Daria Ray turns on him. Santino's not doing very well.
No.
And then Daria Ray hires who, Zach?
The former Cora Jade, who's Elena Black on the Indies, and that's how she debuted. She's like, oh, by the way, I hired this person. Like literally, that was the introduction. It's like, oh, by the way, under your nose, I hired this person.
Right.
We go to the Titantron, and it was Elena Black, and she came out there and she posed, and that was it. I was like, awesome, great. I'm glad that Elena Black is here. Awesome. One of the worst wrestlers in NXT, which is saying a lot, is here in TNA. Awesome, great, can't wait. And they did the good old fashioned TNA to the back, and we went to the back after Cora Jade debuted. So again, another awful segment.
Just came out, did nothing.
Yep.
And they don't, as you said, she's kind of more known now for like when she left and was she doing like OnlyFans or,
Yep.
she became, I don't even know how to describe it, but not exactly known for wrestling.
Yeah.
And then they brought her back out and she didn't do anything. And I'm like, why would I want to see this person the next time?
Yeah.
Like, what is it about Elena Black that makes me like want to watch when she comes out the next time?
Elena Black must pose like Hogan must pose. We have to have Elena Black pose up at the stage.
Okay, so look, I do want to get to the agreement.
Yeah.
Between WWE and TNA, because TNA debuts a new show. They're on AMC. And you're like, okay, who are the best wrestlers in TNA? And unfortunately, or fortunately for the WWE,
yep,
who are the best wrestlers in TNA? Well, Leon Slater's at the top of the list.
Absolutely.
X Division champ who had visa issues, but then was able to get out for his U.S. title match against Carmelo Hayes the very next night. And you're like, okay, if you have an agreement and you're debuting on a new network and the biggest star you have is your X Division champion, not your world champion, of all times that the agreement should be like, we need our best guy. No. He's going to go to WWE and lose.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, like,
right.
But he's going to go to WWE and lose to Carmelo Hayes tonight. So,
yep.
Sorry, you don't get Leon Slater.
Yep. You are SOLTNA. That's what the TNA branding should be now. SOL.
When people tell, like, because you've gone on this before, and I want you to sort of speak about it again. When people say that it's a great thing for TNA, that they're in this agreement, and it's a great thing for Joe Hendry, and it's a great thing for him to just lose at WrestleMania and get RKO'd twice or whatever. I don't see the benefit right now for TNA when their best wrestler by a mile is on the WWE show in a losing cause on a regular Friday night SmackDown. And I guess the trade is that AJ Styles is there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Do you really think that you're gaining TNA with this agreement? Like every time I see the TNA agreement, it just seems one way. It's the WWE getting a little bit more and a little bit more. And they're going to take, some of their own guys that they've put on TNA, like Javon Evans and, NXT, and they put them on TNA, and Leon Slater, they're just going to take with the agreement, and they're just going to take all the best people, but don't worry, we're in partnership. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Zach. I really don't see where TNA is benefiting from this.
Well, Lee, I, for one, am shocked that a WWE partnership would heavily favor WWE. It's not like it's happened historically throughout many, many years that WWE benefits from the partnership of other promotions. I thought maybe that because it was the debut on AMC, and if there is anything that WWE wants to make sure is that the conversation isn't WWE versus AEW, it's AEW versus TNA on who's number 2 in terms of a perception standpoint. So what better way from a perception standpoint than to load up the TNA show with a bunch of names so that you can have people at least have the question out there that can TNA be a number 2, which they can't, but there will be people that will think that. But they didn't do any of that. If anything, they took away, as you mentioned, from doing that. And with the Leon Slater stuff, like, to me, that's just unacceptable that Leon Slater's not on this show. That is your prime guy, which, by the way, on this TNA show, they kept doing this, like, this is the X division, or this is the women's division, this is the knockouts division, this is our main event division. And it featured all the people that aren't there anymore.
Right.
And it was like, it's like, remember AJ Styles, remember Christopher Daniels, remember Samoa Joe in the X division? Well, we don't have that anymore, but we have Leon Slater, who is also not here in the building today. So, like, I'm like, you're showcasing me this division with none of the names. And I'm like,
Right.
it's like, remember how good we used to be back in 2005 when we redefined what professional wrestling was with the X division? Like, I boggled my mind on that. But also too, when it comes to the partnership, like you mentioned, again, Leon Slater being put on SmackDown and not being involved with it. You don't think that WWE would help with the visa issues? Really? You don't think WWE and your partnership? Wait, but by the way, even if WWE wasn't there, it's completely unacceptable for TNA to have these visa issues. Even if they were contracts expiring, Leon Slater is still a member of your roster. Like, you can't be having visa issues with somebody that you have actually signed into this year.
And it's your best guy.
And it's your best guy. Like
it's your top guy. So and maybe I'm naive. It just feels like a full blown fabrication that they had visa issues to me. Like, it feels like, okay, we'll just say that because nobody's really going to be able to check up on it.
Yes.
Like, nobody can get into Leon Slater's visa issues and find out that he really didn't have any.
Yeah.
So we'll just say that, and then he's going to end up on the WWE show the next night from England.
Yeah. But it's the reason why they're able to do it is because they also have this plausible deniability. It's like, well, look, Leon Slater is from the United Kingdom. Like, obviously he would show up for the show in the United Kingdom. That's why he has the visa issues. But we, WWE, we're going to be good partners here, and we'll showcase your talent on SmackDown. You'll lose, obviously, because we're not going to go that far. But we'll showcase your talents here on SmackDown and be great partners. We're not going to help you in terms of loading up the show or your visa issues or making sure your show actually looks like a professional production instead of a minor league wrestling promotion that I watched this past Thursday. No, we'll make sure Leon Slater is promoted on our show. That's beneficial to us, that the young talent is on our show. It's been WWE's MO for decades. Just because Vince is there doesn't mean the people that are underneath Vince, Bruce Pritchard is still there as we're talking. How long has Bruce Pritchard been like a close confidant of Vince McMahon? And he's still there. Michael P.S. Hayes. Triple H is Vince's son-in-law. Like, come on, guys. It's still there. And so all of that, it's just mind-boggling. There's other segments I want to talk about with this TNA debut that I just like totally boggled my mind.
Okay, go ahead.
So they did the All the Stars Norm Macdonald segment, right? All the stars are here in TNA. Here are all the stars. They put all the influencers in the back.
Yeah.
They had them waving from the back. It's like, oh, here's our influencers. Our wrestling influencers are here. They're all waving from the back.
Into the crowd. They just threw them all in the same spot.
Yeah.
In this weird spot.
With empty seats.
Yes.
This is basic. How can somebody like looked at that as like, you know what? That's a great job. Great shot. We made sure that, first of all, if you're going to do the star segment, can we have actual stars, please? Not Eric Young sitting in a chair off in the corner. Like, they had these guys from AMC who I have never heard of, and they never put a nameplate on them. So I can't tell you what their names were. They just said it, and I could possibly care less on who these guys are. I understand you have to promote your AMC partners and whatnot,
but if you're going to promote them properly.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to promote your quote unquote stars out there, it's like, oh, here's your wrestling influencers, which we put all the way in the back. We've got these stars from this AMC show where we're not going to put a nameplate or a graphic or what show they're on, just that we're going to tell you that they're stars so that we can set you up for this segment. Like, okay, we're going to give you this boxer that nobody knows who is. Also no nameplate on that boxer, so I have no idea who this boxer is. But he's apparently a big deal. And Candice Michelle, of all people, was also there.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think she wrestled in TNA, Lee, but she's there. I was like, we're like, oh, all the stars are here. This boxer you don't know, these stars on the AMC show, Candice Michelle, the influencers all the way in the back. Here are all these empty seats that you could watch on your TV to show that the empty seats was just completely unacceptable. Like, if you're going to showcase your stars, at least like have them backstage or something, but it was all to set up this segment with Ryan Nemeth
who continues to be pushed down by the wrestling industry, according to his lawsuit, where he's not prominently featured. But here he is being prominently featured in a segment against the Stars. And he's going to get beat up. He gets beat up by the Stars. Again, I have no idea who these people are, but they chopped him. And then he fell down, and that was the segment. And so now we're getting a match with he and Marasade, who I don't know who that is, on the pay-per-view. Awesome. Great. And that's another thing, too. They had the pay-per-view on Saturday. Oh, they had the pay-per-view Saturday. Genesis. They did sweet bleep all in terms of promoting the pay-per-view. Going back to that main event. So they went off the air with Mike Santana winning, right? I was like, wow, that was a lousy show. Lee, I didn't even know that they did this post-match segment.
I know.
With Nick Nemeth trying to cash in his little briefcase. Because again, another thing, we have no creative ideas. So we're just going to take the Money in the Bank concept and we're going to put it for our show. So they have Nick Nemeth cashing in his opportunity, but then it doesn't go that way. And then they set up the match at the pay-per-view for the rematch between Mike Santana and Frankie Kazarian in a Texas death match with Nick Nemeth as the special guest referee. I had no idea that match was even set up. Right. I had no idea that happened because I was literally listening to a review of the episode. I'm like, man, I wonder how people are thinking about this. And it was broken to me in that podcast review that segment happened. And I'm like, so on the debut episode on the new network, you didn't even bother to put on your TV a major angle that you're going to do for your pay-per-view.
That's coming up like the next day.
That's coming up in 2
days later. Yeah.
It's just,
it's not like Zach, it's not like they had time.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like they could have just stopped at the initial 3 count and maybe done the angle of the last 3 minutes of the show. Oh,
they did have 3 professional wrestling matches that took 30 minutes of their 2-hour show.
Of their 2-hour show. And majority of that was commercial breaks too. I think there were more commercials than wrestling on the show. I would not be surprised if that was how it was all added up. So yeah, I mean, there's this all the Stars segment where nobody knew who anybody was. And
so we know how you feel about this. I was excited to get to this quote. Overall disappointed because it was such a big opportunity. This is a giant step forward. Anybody knows I hate when people miss big opportunities. That's why I hate it so much, because I know how it feels when you realize that you had a great opportunity for whatever reason you didn't maximize it. And that's what it felt like to me. It's really production stuff. I'm not even going to address the creative, but the production was so poor. That's where I think they missed. While you're getting the reaction from the audience, television is nothing but little details laid out in a way that captures the audience's imagination and holds on to it. These shots, the way the director called them, the ring looked like it could fit in my kitchen.
Yep.
The words, and he went on, the words of Eric Bischoff. So yes. I know when you and Eric, you and EB are in lockstep. I know that this must be true.
This is truly a day when I agree with Eric Bischoff 100%. I was like, yep, production sucked. The ring was bad and whatnot. Now, one of the things that quote didn't capture, because it's Eric Bischoff and he just can't help himself, is that there was a quote where this was part of his live show with John Bradshaw, Layfield, and Conrad. And JBL, of course, was like, I think they had a good show, because he works for TNA and has done some shots for TNA and wants to keep those bookings open. So, but Bischoff, he takes a question from a fan. A fan had the nerve to ask, can TNA still be a number 2 company? You are seriously asking that question after watching that? You think after that debut on the new network, one of the historically worst episodes of TV ever, like, I don't know, I think there's still a chance at number 2. So of course Eric Bischoff said, yeah, I think there's still a chance that they could be number 2. I think there's still a chance that they could be number 2. This guy, unbelievable. Yeah, I'm still mad that I didn't get my Eric Bischoff rant last year.
He hates AEW though. So
he does. Because Tony said he would do things differently than what Eric Bischoff did, and I guess he took that personally.
But there's no chance. Like, you can tell people all you want, but I don't get too worked up about it, because when you watch AEW and you watch TNA, it's not even a discussion. Like, and to even further the discussion by talking about it is a little ridiculous. because it's not even in the same sphere. Like it's not 10 years away from being number 2.
No, nowhere close.
So
Nowhere close.
yeah, you just don't. You don't
But
get
unfortunately, there are the reason why I bring it up is because it is in the wrestling sphere of conversation for some, including Eric Bischoff. Because even with all of that, even after he laid out the production sucked, the ring sucked, the wrestling sucked, everything sucked because it sucked, that he was still like, oh, I still think they have a chance to be number 2. It's like, no, like, come on, man. Like, just call it like it is. They're not going to be number 2. And why did, like, anyway, I just, it's frustrating watch. I couldn't believe, like, I was going in with low expectations because it's TNA.
Mm-hmm.
And like TNA has just historically, I've said it on the show, even when people were talking about, oh, I think TNA is pretty good right now. I'm like, I don't trust this company. I know what they've been historically. They've always, whenever they seem to have any sort of momentum or some positive buzz, they find a way to screw it up. Whether it be that pay-per-view that Mike Santana won, they decided, you know what, we're going to take a month off television and not, move forward with the momentum from that. Just going to take a month off. And so then nobody's talking about your TV or your promotion because you're taking a month off. And in this case, now you have an opportunity to grab the new wrestling fan or grab your old fans and say, okay, look, this is your biggest television network since Spike.
Mm-hmm.
Since Spike, you were on a network on the Pursuit channel where they forgot to fill in segments of your show and it ended midway through and switched to a fishing show. That's how low you were at as a wrestling promotion. This is the best chance you had at capturing a new audience where you don't have to be number 2, but boy, would I love it if there was a competitive number 3 out there. It would be great for this show, Lee.
Yeah.
That we have a competitive number 3 and we come on each week and we talk about what's going on TNA. We talk about what's going on AEW, WWE. All 3 of these companies are competing to sign for guys. I would be the happiest guy in the world.
Right.
But TNA constantly shoots themselves in the foot. And to me, it starts with this creative team. Like, I don't know why Tommy Dreamer is still a booker in professional wrestling. Honestly, every time I've heard his booking ideas or like some of the stuff that he's booked, I'm like, why is this guy? There's got to be somebody out there. Like the NFL is always about finding the new, fresh, young, offensive-minded guy who's like 30, 31 to run your offense because you're constantly evolving. But for some reason, pro wrestling doesn't have this mindset. We're just going to stick with the guys that were popular in 1996, and we're going to put them in as our, as part of our booking team. There's nobody that's like, there's got to be somebody that's out there that's in their 30s or 40s or somebody that could bring something fresh. Because one of the things with this TNA show, if I have to hear another wrestling show do for their backstage segments, my guest at this time, insert wrestler, line for line, word for word, bar for bar, on every pro wrestling show, and AEW does this too. If I have to hear that one more time at another American TV show, I'm going to lose it. It's like, there's got to be a different way to present interviews. It can't just be the same, my guest at this time, Lee Versage, right? Like, you mean to tell me you're that creatively bankrupt you can't change the idea of an interview? Come on, guys.
That's going to be the name of this episode, isn't it? Creatively bankrupt.
Yes, because that's what they are. They're creatively bankrupt. They have no ideas. They're doing a GM, authority power struggle. They have the Hardys came out and then they got the generic beatdown from the other tag team to set up the match at the pay-per-view with the Righteous. And that was the best match maybe on the show because it was just a match. And you have that, obviously the overbooked finish. You had whatever the Mr. Elegant segment was, which I wish I could never watched, never had to see that on my television screen. It's like, there's got to be somebody out there that has something.
So I think,
different.
your point is very well taken about the NFL, that they do change over all the time because it's new, it's fresh, it's young, it's a different idea. And wrestling just doesn't do that. They go backwards so much of the time that they don't ever put somebody in a position to go, hey, this is yours for a year. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. We saw it with and people might cringe, but who cares at this point? Tony Khan, when he came in, he brought fresh new ideas to AEW. Why do you think they were able to get a new television deal out of it because Tony Khan came in from a different perspective and brought in some new ideas. Now he's overloaded himself with every road agent. Every professional wrestler is a road agent now and has all these ideas, and he can't like decipher through which ones are the good ones now. But for a time, it wasn't so creatively involved where it was like, all right, Tony's the one that's kind of leading everything. Now you saw the first couple of years of AEW, different tone. This is how we're presenting ourselves. We're pro wrestling. We're not sports entertainment. We're going to provide professional wrestling matches. These are the angles we're going to do. We're going to have blood on our shows. Something different, right? Something that when I tune in, I'm like, okay, this is an AEW show. But with TNA, it's always, this is just WWE light. Or as I saw it, I can't take credit for this, but I laughed when I read it on Twitter. Some guy said, I went through this weird paradox in WWE, this weird different, realm. And sitting in that realm is TNA that somehow belongs to the WWE universe. Like that's what TNA is.
Yep.
It's where all the wrestlers that were in WWE go to try and continue their career.
But it's an overproduced to the, like, for moments. It's not about the wrestling. It's not about, good TV. It's not about anything. It's just about highlighting, especially for the WWE. It seems like TNA just wants to do everything to still be in an agreement with them and not do their own thing. And as you said, it looks like WWE light. Like that's pretty much what it looks like. What this looks like is I was going to talk about the WWE and Saturday night's main event and Friday night SmackDown in Montreal and AEW, but we're 90 minutes in, Zach. So
it was just me ranting and raving for the last.
But we'll have to reconvene because I do think that there's quite a chance, and I want to talk about it with you before it happens. Friday night and Saturday SmackDown and Saturday night's main event, both at the Bell Center in Montreal. And, a real opportunity for the crowd to get behind Sami Zayn. Can he win on Saturday? Can he get the shot at Drew McIntyre? They're highlighting the fact that he's never beat Drew before. 0-11. Which, feels like the Leafs in the playoffs. It's good. It's like you got some big zeros up there.
Yep.
But they're highlighting that for a reason. And I'm excited to talk about that with you. We got more, of course, AEW to talk about. A really good match between MJF and Bandito.
Oh, it was tremendous.
Great match. We're going to have more time to be able to go through that and some of the things that MJF is doing already as the champion. I think, speak very well to where AEW might be going here in the future. So some really good things, I think, from both companies. We'll see. And then we're not too far away as we sit here on January the 19th from the Royal Rumble, less than 2 weeks away in Saudi. I saw a big advertisement in the middle of the football game last night. Joe Buck reading out all of the WWE and the Royal Rumble and see who is able to last in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, oh man, Joe is just cringing right now.
Yeah, he's like, I can't believe I got to read this.
Yeah, he is cringing. But we do have a lot to talk about. So hopefully we can reconvene before the week is over. But glad you had another busy weekend, but it was fun. And like we've been telling people, you won't be able to go, but I think a bunch of us are going to be, and you'll be with us in spirit from the big chill. C4 coming up, balcony. We're going to be there. And I can promise you, if you're going to the big chill, the C4 event, you're not going to miss us again.
There you go.
Well, I mean, you'll miss, if you don't look up, you won't be 5 or 10 minutes with Zach sitting upstairs by himself.
Yeah. Occupy the space.
Big space.
Yeah.
Big personality.
That's right.
I think
unfortunately won't be there this time, but
we'll have some signage.
Nice.
I think This Is Wrestling will be well. It'll be looked at very well at the Preston Event Center.
Right.
So we look forward to that, but that's not for another week and a half. That's the exciting thing. I heard some really good reviews on the, short that we put out, about 15 minutes of, heard some really good reviews on that. People wanting more. They're going to get more of that. So we keep telling people there'll be a lot still to come here on This Is Wrestling as part of a bigger network, but we're never going to lose what we have here at This Is Wrestling. It's only going to get bigger and better. So I'm glad you're calm, Zach.
I'm relaxed now.
Glad you're able to get all of that out.
Yeah, I've been holding it in since Thursday. Poor Predict Trevor. I was messaging him all throughout the show. It's like, what is this? What is this? What am I watching? What is this? They haven't. We're only a match into the hour. What's this? What's this? What are we doing?
Oh my God.
Who is this Mr. Elegance? They shot television in front of an empty crowd. I don't understand this. What's going on? And just so poor Predict Trevor had to read my messages all throughout the.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So what you're saying is, Lee, is we're not reviewing the second episode of TNA on AMC.
I don't know if we'll have time.
No, is that not going to make the docket? I mean, it's big. It's post Genesis. I mean, clearly they put so much thought into Genesis when they put this show together by having their main angle off of their TV debuts. So
yeah. If something happens of significance, we will talk about it, Zach.
Yes.
Don't think we'll be talking about it, but
no, probably not. You mean to tell me that, Johnny Curtis, by the way, that's another one.
Fandango?
So AEW has Sting's retirement run. WWE has John Cena's retirement run. New Japan has Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement run. TNA, how do they counter that? A Johnny Curtis retirement run. That's how you fill the void in TNA.
Fandango
JDC
for everybody that doesn't know him.
The Fandango retirement run. What the people want, Lee. I can't envision ending my career like facing off against Eddie Edwards at Genesis. That's how I want my career to go.
I feel like even I should just let you go for another hour and you can hold down the fort and talk more about this because it feels like there's a lot to get off of your chest. But you'll have lots of opportunity to be able to do that. Anyway, we will be back with you. I'm going to lock Zach in before the end of the week to get another look ahead to kind of Saturday night's main event and everything happening in Montreal, and a little bit more, we'll probably have another Dynamite after last week's, which was certainly the main event was pretty good for that. So a lot to talk about. Always good to catch up with you, Z McGibbon. Thank you very much for that passionate display of like looking like you actually care about TNA and AMC for a bit. It was good.
For like one episode, I was like, maybe they'll change her out, but LOL, TNA lives on, Lee. It never changes. Certainly never changes.
We won't change because we will still be here as well. For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to another edition of This Is Wrestling.
There you go.